Power Automate, aka Flow, was rebranded in November 2019 to align with Microsoft Power Platform. It's a cloud-based software that allows the user to create and automate workflows and tasks across multiple applications and services, whether that be a cloud or an on-premise, without the help of a developer. The user specifies what action should occur when a specific event occurs. How can you start using Power Automate with Dynamics 365? Start with a connector. You can choose to create a flow using the available templates or create a new one from scratch. Log into your Office portal and go to Power Automate. Click My Flows, then click New and choose Automate from blank. In the list of flow triggers, click a trigger and then select the organization and the entity you want to work with. Click New Step, click Add an Action, and specify the required properties for the action. Then save your flow and you're done. What is a D365 workflow? A D365 workflow sits inside D365. Workflows provide automation within D365. Workflows are run based on triggers or events that occur to records within D365, such as an insert, an update, a delete. Like Power Automate, the user specifies what actions should occur when a specific trigger event occurs. So, which one should I use? When to use Dynamics 365 workflows. If the entire process happens within Dynamics 365, workflow is usually, but not always, the best choice. Real-time or near real-time jobs, you can use workflow if your business process requires an immediate action. If you have email notifications, these workflow-generated emails can include dynamic hyperlinks to CRM records. If you have on-demand processes, if you want the ability for a user to select a record in a dynamic or manual trigger will trigger a process, workflow would be the best option. When to use Power Automate. If you need an SMS text notification, using the Twilio connector for Flow, you can easily send and receive an SMS text notification for Dynamics 365 events. If you need push notifications, you can create workflows that give you a mobile push notification when a Dynamics 365 event happens. If you need email notifications sent from non-users, you can have them come from an email box that isn't associated with a Dynamics 365 user. If you want to create a personal workflow, the user interface for workflow can be confusing, but Flow is highly visual and more intuitive for a power user. If you need approvals, using workflow approval features, the approver can approve via email, push notification, or from the Flow app. If you need to delete records, the ability to get a list of records and execute an operation for each record in the list, and the option to delete records. If you have a lightweight integration, Flow presents the option to integrate and synchronize between business systems without writing an integration. If you need to schedule jobs, using the recurrence option, you can schedule recurring jobs to happen at virtually whatever time interval you want. If you need to extend the Microsoft Office integrations, using Flow and Office documents stored in the cloud, you can automate integrations between D365 and Microsoft Office. If your workflow spans multiple applications, using Flow, you can automatically post to Slack when an event happens in the Dynamics 365 environment. This enables similar functionality that is available in Microsoft Yammer integrations with third-party collaboration tools. We also need to consider performance. Flow can be a better option for system performance than a Dynamics workflow. If there's long-running wait conditions, these jobs having a scheduled recurring system job in Flow is a better option for performing. If there's thousands of Flow jobs hitting Dynamics simultaneously, there's a potential for some level of system performance impact. So, which one do I choose? Using the right tool for the right job. This implies the decision of whether to use Flow or workflow. Look at the processes from an end-to-end perspective. Look at your jobs that start and end within Dynamics 365. Workflow is probably your best option. If the process touches another system or service, or would benefit from options offered by Flow, Flow should be considered for the job. However, as for Microsoft, everything you do with workflow except a dialog can be done with Flow. Microsoft recommended to use Flow instead of workflow, as the objective down the road is to remove workflow completely. It's time to see the tools in action. I'm going to turn things over to Jindy, and he's going to show you a workflow that uses a custom entity for the Canadian provinces and the US states. The workflow is going to take a custom entity value and it's going to put it in the out-of-box value for the province or state so that the D365 maps will work by themselves. We're also going to show you Power Automate, where we have a notification email for salespeople who meet their sales goals.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, I'm Jendy, and I will show you a demo about how to use the workflow. And the workflow we're talking about today is, like Ian said, is a workflow that will take a value from a custom entity field and to put it on to an out-of-the-box field in the address of an account. The reason why we're doing that is because in order for the map to work in Dynamics 365, the value needs to be on the out-of-the-box field. So for example, if I go to one account I have here that called webinar, when I open it, here you can see if I go to my address, here you can see now it's no longer a text field, but it's a lookup from the custom entity that we build with all city from United States and Canada. So we will make sure that the user have a correct city here in that field. So in order to have the correct value on the out-of-the-box field, we need a workflow that one, whenever you created a new account or when you change the city to another one. So for example, if I said that my address is not in Winnipeg, I can choose another city here. For example, if I said my address is now, if I remove the Winnipeg one, I can say it's now in Gimli. It's in Gimli here. And when I go and save, my workflow will now run, and now the map will adjust to whatever I enter here. And that's only possible because of the workflow I have that put that new city that I chose, the Gimli one, to the out-of-the-box field. Now let's have a look of the workflow. So I already have open here all my solution on my instance here. So I have a solution on webinar here. If I open my webinar solution and scroll down to processes, I have my workflow here that name update address out of the box field. If I open that, we will see where we have the criteria on when the workflow needs to run. For example, I have my workflow that needs to run on record is created and on record field changes. Which field I need to choose for it, which field exactly when that field change, so my workflow will run, is the city, the country, the county, the state. So every time one of those fields changes, so my workflow run and update the other out of the box field for me. And that workflow is a simple one. So we have a condition where we can check if the account status is active or not. And then we update the field by taking the value that the user choose from my custom entity and put it on my out of the box field like that. Basically, that's all we want in the purpose of that specific workflow. Now let's talk about the Power Automate. For the Power Automate, like Ian talked about in his previous slide, we have to go to the Office portal. And when I log into the Office portal, here I have, like Ian said also, we have it in the previous slide. While you are in the Office portal, we can go to Power Automate. Once my Power Automate window is open, so I see in the left side the list of a tab I have. So because the demo, I already have my flow here. So like we said in the previous slide, if we go to my flow here, and I have my list of flow here. If I want to create a new one, I will go to new and select which one I want. I can choose one from a template, from a visual template, an automat, an instant, from blank, schedule, business process, etc. So the demo I'm going to show you here is the meet goal notification. The meet goal notification, if I open my flow here and show you the idea behind that flow. Edit, let me close that notification from Microsoft. So the idea is when a salesperson meet his goals, to have that person receive a notification email that tell them that they meet their goal. So in order to do that, in flow, we need first a trigger. What is my trigger now? My trigger is when a record is updated. So when a record is updated, which record exactly? The idea behind this trigger in that side here is whenever the value change on my goals in Dynamics 365, I need to check to see if a user meet his goal or not. Okay, so I will skip that one for now. And now let's say the record change in the goals, and my condition is to check. What I'm going to check? I'm going to check what is the percentage of that goal that the user met. If the percentage is greater or equal than 100, so the user meet the goal and I need to send it an email. You will also notice that we have between the trigger and the condition, I have another step. What is that step? The step for me here is to get that user profile. So the owner of the goal that I want to send the email to, I need that email. And in order to get that email, I need to have a previous step before the condition so I can get the email I want. So by adding that step, now I can take the goal owner. So now when I get down, it's if I meet the condition, so the percentage, the completion of the goals is 100% or more, so I have a sent email here, and in that sent email I can easily put that I am sending the email to that goal owner. And what will be my email? My subject email will, congratulations, you met your goal. And the given name, it will take it from my get user profile step here, and then my label for the email. Basically, that's it for the demo for Power Automate, and I will hand back to Ian to finish the presentation.